Mic'd up.
Thank you for coming tonight to Yankees Coast to Coast. Ooh, are you hearing that okay?
I'm hearing it just fine. You're a
Okay.
little tinny, but we'll figure it out in the edit.
Tinny? I've always been a little tinny. Anyway, this is Adam. This is Michael. We're here to talk
Where?
about the Yankees. We are
Yeah.
sort of in that mood today. This has been sort of that. It's always fun to have these types of shows after they have a loss, especially a loss that they probably shouldn't have had because they probably should have won that game. So but it's funny. We like to talk about these things. The whole focus of this one today is to sort of take the temperature and find out really why are the Yankees always swooning every year. It just seems that every time around this time of year, and I know Mike, you've probably done your homework already. I did a little bit myself, but looking at year over year, they seem to have a problem. I have a theory on why that is, and we'll talk about it. But the idea is to sort of get going on the Yankees' reason for this tendency, or really what's become a trend of bad, really unacceptable baseball play for a 50-game period about every year around this time of year, at least sometime between June and August, and that's not a good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, July's been the worst of all the months.
Yeah.
And it's the last 4 years, really. I mean, pre-COVID, this didn't exist for the Yankees. Let's put it this way. They were streaky a little bit, 15, 16, 17, but they've been extremely streaky since 21, since post-COVID. They've been a ridiculously streaky team. Um, if you go through all the years of all the things that are going on, in 21, they were 29 and 25 at June 1st. 22, they were 34 and 15 on June 1st. Then
Unbelievable. Remember?
23, they were 34 and 24. 24, they were 40 and 19 last year on June 1st. And this year they were 35 and 22 on June 1st, going into the games of June 1st. So, and 3 out of those 5 years, the Yankees had losing records in June. One year they were 14 and 13, which was last year. They were 22 and 6. After going 34 and 15, they went 22 and 6 in June of 22 to finish on August 1st at 56 and 21. They were out of control and then stunk in July and August.
Yeah, I mean you see, I've always thought that really streaky teams are bad teams. Good teams don't lose a lot. They don't win a lot necessarily. They just or they win consistently. They win, four. They win. They try to win 600% of the game, or 6 out of 10 games. The goal is always to win 6 out of 10 games, and they do that for the most part. Good teams will stick with that. They'll have times where
they don't have 6 to 10 game losing streaks. At least no more than one.
Exactly.
Season.
But
And
three is unheard of, and it reminds me of like a team.
I think they'd have 4, to be honest with you, this year.
Yeah, I remember a Bucky Dent team, the team that he managed for such a short time, like 90, 89, 90. Those teams, Dallas Jones or whatever his name was, uh,
Rupert
they
Jones.
Rupert Jones.
Jones.
They would play games and they would win. I don't know where they'd win 5 or 7 or 10 in a row, and then they turn around and a month later lose 20, lose 15, 12, like 18 out of 20. It always amazed me. So I think there's something that there's a chaos to teams that aren't very good, and the Yankees are sort of like that kind of team now. And I think comes down to bad design, and then terrible bullpen use in most cases. And there are lots of reasons for it. But let's start. What do you think? If you had
I think it's bad design. I think you can see from the Brewers especially, but also from teams like the Mariners and the Red Sox and the Blue Jays, teams that put the ball in play consistently. They have the lower strikeout rates and things like that, especially the Brewers. and they also play fundamental, take the extra base. They know how to move runners. They knew how to do all the little things right. Heard this morning on from Tim Kirchin, an interview with Tim Kirchin. He was talking about Craig Counsell, and Craig Counsell says that Murphy, who's now the coach in Milwaukee, who followed Counsell, Murphy was the guy who taught Counsell how to manage, when to, when to hold them, when to fold them, when to scream, when to sit back, when to run, when to push, when to pull. And the Brewers have just continued to do exactly that. And the Cubs this year, for the most part, is a continuation from last year, where they became a much higher level of contact team. And the teams that have a higher level of contact put more pressure on the defense, and it makes life difficult. And the Yankees are just not that. That's the bottom line. Is they're striking out way too much, but they're also built around one stat, and it's OPS. And it used to be that you would have a mix on this sabermetrics, starting obviously with Billy Bean Ball in Oakland, in Moneyball. They were working solely on base percentage. And what the on base percentage did is to put pressure on the other teams by having guys on base, making pitchers pitch from the stretch, making guys make extra plays, doing different things. And it expanded, obviously, with the Red Sox. And they started expanding into things like OPS, OPS plus, isolated slugging, isolated average, batting average, balls in play, all of these different things. And some of the stats are useful, and some of them I think are overrated. Batting average for balls in play, I think, is a stupid stat, because if you strike out 9 times and get a hit, you're 1 time up. Guess what your batting average of balls in play is? 1,000.
Yeah.
And you're batting 100. So I'm not a big fan of that particular stat. But the strikeout percentages that the Yankees have, and the walk percentages that the Yankees have, are not what they should be. Also, with regard to the Yankees, if you take Judge out of the lineup, which he was when he was on the IL, their OPS and slugging goes down 50 or more points. And they go from a team that is leading the league in OPS and slugging to a team that's about 9th or 10th or even average when it comes to that. So to talk about them as a team is a mistake. I also think hard hit rate, which is a valuable stat, is also misleading, because if you hit the ball in the same place every time, Ben Rice, it doesn't matter for the most part how hard you hit it. They're going to have a defender there. And most of the defenders can block those balls, and your hard hit rate is important, because you have a better chance of getting hit if you hit it hard, don't get me wrong. But if you hit it in the same place every time, it doesn't do anybody any good.
Well, I think that I'd much rather a guy like that who's doing that on the field every day. I think he's going to hit in more luck sooner or later than a punch and Judy dude who doesn't.
I don't think more than a punch.
Somebody like our Perazza, who just
Right. He wasn't making contact. He was making
anything.
soft contact. But I mean, right now he's a better player than Wells, but he's not nearly the defender Wells is. And he was really scary at first base this week.
Yeah, they seem to think he's got skills behind the plate. They think they can work him out. He doesn't have the throwing arm, but he seems to be good with framing. So I'm hoping. I have a bad feeling about this. I think the Yankees are going to trade Wells if they get even a little bit
You
more.
think they're going to trade Wells? I think they should. I think they'd be better off trading Rice while his value is high.
Yeah, but they don't do that. They don't do that. They don't do that. They don't. We know the Yankees. They don't trade high value guys.
Right, and I think that they, I've been saying this for a while. I think the Yankees need to choose between Wells and Rice and trade the other. I don't mind trading one or the other. I would rather trade Rice, but whatever. They just need to trade both, and then they need a Molina type player. Benny, not, they need a Molina brother to be the backup catcher, right-handed hitting,
really old
defender,
Those guys are really old.
But no, you know what I mean. That type of player. The guy that would have been nice, who's hitting this year, is Fermin, who Kansas City traded away, who learned underneath Perez. He went to San Diego. I forgot where he went, the trade deadline. A guy like that, who's a stud defender, and while he doesn't have much pop, is it's going to make contact, would be an ideal backup catcher. But the idea that the Yankees have two left-handed catchers who are not high contact rate guys, not high average guys, and their on base percentage. Rice is acceptable. Wells is not, at least this year. Is not the answer. As much as I'm not a big don't worry about the lineup because Bellinger hits lefties better. It doesn't matter who the pitcher is to Stanton or Judge. I do think you need some right-handed balance in the lineup, and having a right-handed backup catcher would help with that. I just don't think that they're constructed well, and we've been saying this for a long time. And before we get to the whole bullpen management and Boone, I think that the construction of the team is not on Boone. The construction of the team is on our friend Cashman.
Yeah.
And he's not going anywhere ever, until he's ready to say, yeah, okay, I'm going to go back. He might as well have the last name of Steinbrenner. Okay. If I remember correctly, what was the name of the brother that passed away? Hank? Hank is the one that went to college with Cashman. And you're talking about a guy who started as an intern out of college with the Yankees, learned at the foot of Gene Michael and Bob Watson, and has been there forever. And it might be the longest tenured GM in all of baseball, if not baseball history at this point, because he's been the GM for over 20 years. So he's not going anywhere, but it is him who
It's
is at the top of the pyramid with regard
going in on 30 years. I think, what is it, 98, right? 90.
Was he the general manager in 98, or was it still Watson or whoever?
No, Watson was 96 into 97. Then Watson got sick, I think, and I think that's why Watson left. And then they brought in Cashman before 98, and that's 27 years. I mean, that's
A long time.
amazing. I gotta say, and I agree. I think that they don't make the playoffs. This is Boone's year. He's gone. They're not going to be able to weather the storm of Boone. So I think he's gone. Cashman probably stays, though I love the emeritus role. They did it for Stevie Donahue. Why don't they do it for him?
Well, Stevie Donahue was the trainer. It's a lot different.
Well,
Cashman
move him up, make him president.
You hit the nail on the head, by the way.
Who's the president of the Yankees right now?
Cashman's been the GM from 98.
So who's the president of the New York Yankees right now? It's is it still that clown with the hair?
The clown with the hair.
Is like the blonde dude.
Talking about.
Is it Lon Trust? He's not a clown with the red, but there's another dude who always makes me laugh when I see him. He's a lawyer, and everything he says, he sounds like he sounds like he's interviewing someone in Congress. I'm like, dude, relax. It's baseball. Have a good time. Anyway, I think we're gonna lose. Boone this year, but there are other things.
Randy Levine. Randy Levine's the guy you're thinking of.
Randy Levine. That's the clown with the hair.
And he is a lawyer.
But here's my thinking though about it's not just it's bad design, but it's not you talk about the hitting, it's bad approach. It's the same thing. Every hitting coach they ever have, every year is going to be different, and every hitting coach does the same thing. They all go for launch angle OPS. They're all trying to hit 100 home runs. It's all about let Judge and let Stanton save us. Get to the playoffs and let those guys hit bombs, and we'll everything will be good. That's been the way it's been for years.
Well, I agree, and the problem is that the lineup is a puzzle. And I don't like Judge batting second, especially on a team where your last 2 and 3 hitters are not hitting. It's a little different now that they got rid of Peraza and DJ and stuff like that. But if your bottom 2 hitters are not getting on base, giving Judge an extra 50 at bats with nobody on base, as opposed to batting him third, where he's going to have 2 guys that are allegedly going to get on base more often in front of him every single time he gets up, is going to give the Yankees more chances to score runs. I think that the lineup construction is a puzzle, and the puzzle pieces have to be a variety of things. Yes, you do need, obviously, having Judge, and having Stanton is always going to be work. You're never going to say no to having a Judge in your lineup. No team ever would. But you need guys at the top that are going to have closer to a 400 on base percentage um, in your top part of your batting order. And right now, you know, Stanton's got a 373 on base percentage.
Yeah, but in limited activity.
Right. And McMahon's at 359 and Grisham's at 346. Okay. Wonderful. Do you know who was the next highest on the Yankees after Grisham at 346? DJ.
Oh, wow.
DJ. That's what's really bad. And he's not on the team. I mean, Chisholm's at 332. He's going to be 25, 25, 25 homers, 25 stolen bases. You know what? You could have a guy like that in your lineup. But you can't have him in your 1 or 2 slot. They just don't have guys that are going to be on base enough.
No.
And that's the challenge. And you need guys that are going to have at least one guy is going to have a 360 to 380 on base percentage batting in the top 2 slots in your batting order. And then he could be a punch and Judy hitter. He could even have an OPS below 700 and not be an OPS guy. But if he's got an on base percentage between 360 and 380, he's going to be on base for Judge. And that's the bottom line. You need guys on base for Judge. You need another guy that's going to hit second that's going to have an on base percentage that's between 340 and 360. Yes, it would be ideal. Matter of fact, the stats this year that Grisham has would be a good number 2 hitter on this team, even though I still don't think a strikeout rate of 21% is something that you want. But he does have a 13% walk rate. So I don't have a problem with Grisham if he was batting second on the team. He's not a leadoff guy. You don't have enough guys on base for Judge.
That's
And
right.
then you could have a Stanton, assuming he's healthy, and obviously he's whacking the hell out of the ball right now.
Until they play him just that one extra inning in right field, and then we wish we'd never had this conversation.
Well, yeah, I didn't have a problem. He played the extra inning in right field yesterday. It cost them 1 foul ball, and that didn't cost them anything because they got out of the inning.
Yeah.
So I'm not that worried about it. And even if you have a lefty-righty type platoon situation like they tried to do with Goldschmidt and Grisham at the top of the order, with Grisham against righties and Goldschmidt against lefties, that's not a bad idea. I mean, they at least tried something there. Dominguez, Mr. Hot and Cold, is now not even playing. So who knows? If he's not going to play against righties, he certainly shouldn't be playing against lefties. But a guy like Volpe having an on-base percentage of 288 is just not acceptable.
It's true, and that's going to be an area that you really have to fix things here. But another thing is we have to put, we give Judge all the credit in the world for saving the team. We also have to give him some of the heat for not being so great. Since I noticed something, he's hitting 235 since June 12th. Now he missed a lot of games.
Since June 12th or July 12th? I thought it was July 12th.
June 12th.
That's
so.
Yeah,
he's 36 for 153. Okay. He's got 12 home runs. So he's got 36 hits. He's got 24 hits that are, and he stopped hitting doubles. He's not running. He's not getting doubles anymore. He's just not hitting very much. And that's hurt them a lot. Because, again, not because I have a problem with him slumping or not having a great, month. That's okay. The problem is that they have nobody else to be that guy if he doesn't. And they can hope for Stanton, and he's been great, rejuvenated in many ways. But the idea that he's, they are. This is like the Yankees in the playoffs. Judge never hits in the playoffs, and they just don't do anything. They sputter. They need to diversify.
Judge was hitting 350, and everybody's going crazy. Well, guess what? You know what? At a certain point in time, 350 is not the hitter he is.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Judge do what he did for the first part of the season, or would you rather him hit 295 for every day of the season?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question because there's certain days that he's going to have to do more or less. Right now, he's down to 333.
Yeah.
Is he going to stay? Is he going to finish the season at 325, 340, 310? What is he going to finish the season at? He's not a 350 hitter. If he at 310, I could live with 310. You know what I mean? But, he played at such a high level for so long that we all fell into a lull that he was going to hit that high. I mean, yes, he did hit 322 last year, and he hit 311 in 2022.
Hmm.
This is MVP years. So everybody was saying, okay, let's see what that is. Let's see how
Does
he
he get
does.
votes this year for MVP?
He's going to get votes for MVP, but he's not going to win. I don't, the way he's playing now and the way the Yankees are
It's
playing
gonna
now,
be the kid. It's gonna be Raleigh. You
it's
got to
either, you know what, there's one other guy that's got a shot this year. If the Guardians sneak into the playoffs, maybe Ramirez finally gets one.
Yeah, but isn't but how many home runs does Raleigh have now?
45, I think, or something like that.
That's incredible. But I don't know. Maybe they give it to the catcher, especially if
Yeah,
the
he is a catcher. He is a catcher. I mean, Ramirez finishes third in the top five every season.
yeah.
It's amazing how good he
He's a
is.
great ball player.
He
No
is.
two
I
ways.
love him.
I love him. But again, the Yankees. Let's talk about it. Yankees make a deal this year. There's one move I'd like to see. I want to see Quan. They're going to trade.
On
I think
type.
the Guardians are going
On
to trade
type.
Quan this year. They're going to trade him this offseason.
Me.
And this is the Yankees should focus all their effort on getting leadoff, move him to left field, trade around, move some of these pieces around. They're not getting Bellinger back, guaranteed.
You don't think so?
Bellinger's
I
going to
think
get,
I disagree. I think he's going to opt out.
of
But
course.
I do think that I think he wants to be here. I think his dad says it was his favorite place that he played,
Yeah.
and I think
Yanks aren't going to give him 6 year, $180 million.
I don't think anybody's going to give him that. To be
No,
honest,
but that oh yeah, that's what that douchelick, whatever his name is going to do.
Boris.
Uh,
Are you talking about
Bur-
Boris?
Boris is going to make sure that he's going to wait to the end. He's not going to have a contract until March, but he's going to get somehow he's going to get some deal with somebody else. He's going to make a mistake. He's going to overassess his value. He does every year with every one of his
Would you
guys.
rather? Let's say it might come down to a choice of Bellinger or Tucker.
Tucker's surprisingly bad year. Been
It's not,
hurt, right?
it's not having a bad year. He's quiet.
You
And
know,
the Cubs have gone into a spin, and he's got into a spin with them, as has Suzuki and has a bunch of other guys. I think that the Yankees have to figure out a way. And getting back to my leadoff hitter story, I know Kramer hates this. Not that I should be mentioning Kramer's name. I have the bobble right here as well, right next to my Sharky bobblehead. But Kramer hates the idea of bringing um, Bo Bichette in to play shortstop. And Bichette, when he's not hurt, which is more frequent than it should be, is a 360 on base guy.
yeah.
And he's a stud fielder. So there's a guy that, and he's got a little bit of pop. Volpe's got more pop than him, if you want to call Volpe having pop. But if Bichette could come in here and be their leadoff guy, you kill two birds with one stone, and you get a right-handed bat in there because that's what he is. But he is also injury prone, which always scares the crap out of everybody, and as well it should.
All right,
Um, but
right.
I don't know how much money he's going to make, and whether the Blue Jays are going to let him walk, especially if the Blue Jays win all of a sudden. I don't know what they
Yeah.
have in the
All
thing.
right, we got great shows ahead of us to talk about trades and
Right.
what the Yankees could do.
Let's talk about let's talk about. I want to talk about Boone. All right.
All right, we
So
got 5 minutes, so let's do it.
I did a lot of work on things. Right. Usually, and a lot of people would agree with this, and generally, I would as well. That a manager makes a 10 to 15 game difference in a season. But looking at the Yankees since the trade deadline,
Mhm.
okay, they've played 12 games in August. Out of those 12 games, there have been 8 games, which is a very high number of games, where choices of who's going to pitch have been important to figuring out whether or not the Yankees are going to win. And out of those games, you want your manager to be right 6 out of 8 times, right? Boone has been right 3 times. So you've got 4 games that didn't matter. There were blowouts one way or the other. And I'm including the game the other day where he put in De Los Santos for a back-to-back day against the Twinkies when he had all of these other guys available and there was no reason to bring De Los Santos back in. I'm including the fact that he went back to Williams, that after a day off he didn't use his bullpen. I mean, you start on August 1st. He used all those new guys after the first game,
Mhm.
even though he had Williams and Weaver ready to go because none of them had pitched. The day Hill and Weaver had pitched, but not used on the 31st. So they all had a day off. And on August 1st, he didn't bring in any of his guys. I understand he wanted to get his new guys in there, but once the game got close, go to the guys that had been okay. Even Williams, who had a bad outing on the 29th, but he had Weaver in there. There was no sense of urgency in how he managed. And then they had a 2-0 game where they didn't hit. That's obviously not on him. A 7-3 game where Hill didn't pitch well. That's not on him. Then you come back to the 8-5 loss to the Rangers, where Williams blew the game in the 9th. He hadn't pitched since the 29th. And, Fried didn't pitch well. And he didn't manage the bullpen. He had Weaver, Duvall, Bednar, Williams, and Bird, who blew the game at the very end. And there was no reason because these guys didn't throw a lot of pitches. Then they came back and lost 2-0 the next day. He had bad bullpen management on that one as well because he brought in Williams in a close game, and he should have given up on Williams by that point. And Leiter threw only a third of an inning. And again, they had a day off, and Bednar didn't pitch. And again, where the hell was Hill? Hill disappeared for like 4 days. Then they had the 3-2 game over Texas where Bednar stayed in. That's Boone gets credit for that, right? But he comes back after a day off and he screws it up again by using Williams. He could have kept Weaver in there. He pitched 1 inning, didn't throw a lot of pitches. Again, Hill disappeared off the face of the earth, and Bednar had a day off. Then on the day after that, on the 9th, Leiter comes in, throws 4 pitches to one batter, gets a double play, doesn't come back out. Weaver throws 1 inning, 11 pitches, and is taken out of the game. Duvall pitched badly in the third of an inning, and then Bednar allowed an inning and 2/3. He allowed the inherited runner to score, but then Grisham hit the homer in the 8th, and they won. There was no reason not to leave Leiter in there and then bring in Weaver later and extend the use of his high leverage guys, especially if Leiter was pitching well, and not bring Williams in. At this point, he should have been done with Williams. That's the point. Then they lost 7-4 to Houston, and they found the lane for Williams because they were losing 4-0, and they brought him in. And then he brought in Hill for no reason whatsoever, and they ended up losing the game 7-1 because Hill didn't have anything. Then he had a good bullpen management again back on the 11th. He just really 6 2/3 from Warren. Weaver got when they got in trouble, and then Bednar finished the game. Then they lost 9-1. Who cares? Then there was the game yesterday. It was a 1-1 game, and he brought De Los Santos back. Why? He's got the whole bullpen to use because all he used was Hill and De Los Santos the day before, and he brings De Los Santos back. Leiter had been pitching well. You had Weaver could have pitched more than an inning. You had Bednar. You had Duvall. You had a whole bunch. You had everything at your fingertips, and you didn't do anything. So 12 games in August. 4 they didn't need any bullpen management. 8 they did, and he made 3 good calls and 5 calls that were, oh my God, they were horrible.
But this is emblematic of an ongoing problem, and that's, I think, the major reason for these swoons. It's not just the hitting. It's not just the design of the lineup. The problem is, the team doesn't, all season long, he always does this. He takes these guys out. He never leaves his starters in long enough. I think I saw something like 5 of the last, 33 games.
Right.
He's had someone go more than 5 innings.
In this stretch in August, before the last 2 games, where they did get guys, Warren and Rodon and even Schlittler went, a little bit more than 5. The pitchers were throwing 97 to 105 pitches in the first 5 innings.
It's terrible.
That's part of the issue.
That's the terrible thing.
Fried losing it, and I think it's got to be the blister. They didn't let him rest enough.
I wish they had stopped talking about how it's not a problem anymore. Obviously, he had a couple of tough starts before, but it wasn't like this complete, falling apart. Where he doesn't have
the command. I mean, the bottom line is he was throwing.
And that's what blisters do. I think blisters do make it hard.
You lose the feel. Absolutely. That's the thing. And the heart of the team, Rodon is what Rodon is. There are games he's going to throw 105, 110 pitches in 5 innings. And then there's going to be a game like the last time he was out there where he throws and goes, into the 7th or 8th inning. But, that's where losing Cole really hurts them because, Cole's going to have. And
Cole, Schmidt, and really you don't have Heel anymore. He isn't the same guy.
Heel's not the guy you want to count on. I mean, I'm hoping Heel's another guy. I hope he turns around this season and the Yankees are smart enough to say, okay, we don't need this guy. Let's trade him while we can,
Yeah.
because they've got
Well, but after 3 injuries and whatever it's been, are they
exactly.
going to? Does he have any value anymore? Again,
Well,
they missed
that's
out on
why
an
if he
opportunity.
turns his season around, yes, he does. I mean,
You
look
know,
at. Are you going to say you wouldn't take Max Scherzer, how he's pitching for the Blue Jays on the Yankees right now,
God, yeah.
or Jacob DeGrom? I mean, not that Heel has anything close to the career of either of those two guys, but those guys are had big injuries, and they came back and they're pitching well.
Yeah.
I mean, so the starting pitching not going, and that's why I only went back to August because of the trade deadline. I was like, okay, yes, they haven't been getting it, but if you look at the pitchers, the starters have been throwing 97 to 105 pitches in 5 innings. That's
Yeah.
unacceptable. And
But this is an ongoing
Warren has
problem.
two in a row now. Warren has where he's gone more than five because
I think Warren might very well be there. Right now, one of the most talented pitcher they have right now. He's been the guy who's been saving them a lot. He's been very, very good. So we thank God we have him. But what I don't understand is these ongoing problems with removing the pitcher at the wrong time. Always seems to be making a mistake. He makes a call. He always makes the wrong call with these bullpen decisions. It's just an ongoing problem. I don't get what they like about this guy. It seems to me De Los Santos yesterday was absolutely an analytics decision. It just seemed like somebody said he needed to go in there.
It makes no sense. And why it made no sense is it was a 1-to-1 game. So, he's like, well, it was a 1-to-1 game. I didn't want to use my high leverage guys because I didn't know. Minnesota's
Why
bullpen
not?
exactly. And Minnesota's bullpen, they traded 5 bullpen pieces. They're crap. Their bullpen is crap.
I mean, they're going to win. They should win that game.
You got to think you're going to score runs against those guys. And to not bring in guys who were well rested and could have come into the game as your high leverage guys
they have to rest them. They don't have a lot of days off. Wait a minute, today's a day off,
and they have a day off on Monday. They have 2 days off coming.
This is horse hooey.
Yeah, your manager, and yes, it's a 12-game sample, but this has been, like you said, it's been going on for years with Boone. Your manager has to make the right choice on the bullpen 2/3 of the time, because that's the only impact that he has. Now, if it's not him you never know with the Yankees who's really making the decisions. God knows. But
it's some pencil neck name like Ezra Von Pulpic, sitting in some office on the 3rd floor at Yankee Stadium.
He's got a good punum. He's got a cute punum. So but this is not acceptable. This is what the job is. And as much as I do not like Chris Russo, and thank you for sending the article you sent to me, Chris Russo had hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
If Tito Francona wanted to come back and manage this year, there was no reason for the Yankees to not go to him before they re-signed Boone with an extension and say, come manage our team.
Did I send that to you? I don't think I did. I think
that's when you sent.
I sent you the one from Joel Sherman the other day, which I thought was which is the impetus.
Well, it had the Russo quote in it. It had the Russo quote in it, and it's there are many managers that are better than Boone. Now, do the Yankees have to have the best manager in baseball, which is what Russo's full argument was? Is no, they don't have to, but they need to have a top flight manager, and to keep Boone for 9 years like they have is not. It's no longer acceptable because of the mistakes he's making, and the bullpen usage. Now that he's got a lot of tools in the shed, he's not using the right tools at the right time. He might as well be me putting together the IKEA furniture as opposed to somebody who's mechanically inclined.
Oh, God. All right, my friend. Listen, I got to go. So
you have a good one. Say hello to all of your clients that don't know who the hell I am.
That's right. And good luck in prison.
And good luck in prison.
I wanted to get that to you. I've always wanted to get one of those in.
Yes. Usually we have to go to a prison, to a bowling alley.
And next week, maybe we'll talk about some good things. They've got lousy teams here playing. They're going to beat up on the, hopefully, they're going to beat up in St. Louis. And then maybe they'll have.
St. Louis is playing better now. So got to be careful.
Of course. And then, of course, they're going to play the Red Sox, and they got to beat they're horrible against the East, so they really have to start winning against the East. I'm telling you, no two ways about it. All right, my brother, take care. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.